Questions at the Supporting Veterans in STEM Careers Act signing. Let's listen.
No, I didn't speak to the judge. I'd be able to do it if I wanted. I have the absolute right to do it. I stay out of things to a degree that people wouldn't believe, but I didn't speak to him. I thought the recommendation was ridiculous. I thought the whole prosecution was ridiculous. And I look at others that haven't been prosecuted, or I don't know where it is now. But when you see that, I thought it was an insult to our country, and it shouldn't happen. And we'll see what goes on there. But that was a horrible aberration. These are I guess the same Mueller people that put everybody through hell, and I think it's a disgrace. No, I have not been involved with it at all.
Would you consider commuting?
I don't want to talk about that now. I think it was a disgraceful recommendation. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. What they've done to General Flynn, what they've done to others, and then the really guilty ones, people that have committed major crimes are getting away with it. I think it's a disgrace. Let's see what happens. Go ahead, John.
I was going to say, Mr. President, you took on Michael Bloomberg, and Brad Parscale did as well over stop and frisk. Yet in 2016 and 2018, you praised Rudy Giuliani for the stop and frisk program. So what's different about what Bloomberg said and what you believe?
Well, I'll tell you what, I looked at it and I watched him pander at a church and practically beg for forgiveness. I wouldn't have begged for forgiveness. I mean, he was doing his job at the time. And then when he went up to the church, I thought it was disgraceful. But I put something out and it was pretty nasty. And I thought, I'm looking to bring the country together, not divide the country further. But when he went up to a church and he apologized for everything he's ever done, that was only for getting votes. And I think probably people understand that. Yeah, please. I am. I just spoke with Prime Minister Modi, and it's going to be I don't know who's going, but he said we will have millions and millions of people. My only problem is, so last night we probably had 40 or 50,000 people, far more than anyone else. But when we have 50,000 people nowadays, fellas, I'm not going to feel so good, because he thinks we'll have 5 to 7 million people just from the airport to the new stadium. And it's the largest stadium in the world. He's building it now. It's almost complete, and it's the largest in the world. And he's a friend of mine. He's a great gentleman, and I look forward to going to India. So we'll be going at the end of the month.
Do you plan to sign a trade deal with the Indians?
They want to do something, and we'll see if we can make the right deal. We'll do it.
Mr. President, do you know who Anonymous is?
I don't want to say, but you'd be surprised. Would you be surprised? But I don't want to say.
Hey, can you talk a little bit more about some of the recent departures from the White House, including the Vindman twins?
No, well, I obviously wasn't happy with the job he did. First of all, he reported a false call. That wasn't what was said on the call. What was said on the call was totally appropriate, and I call it a perfect call. I always will call it a perfect call. And it wasn't one call. It was two calls. There were two perfect calls. There was no setup. There was no anything. And he reported it totally differently. And then they all went wild when I said that we have transcripts of the calls, and they turned out to be totally accurate transcripts. And if anybody felt there was any changes, we let them make it, because it didn't matter. So we had totally accurate transcripts, and it turned out that what he reported was very different. And also, when you look at Vindman's, the person he reports to said horrible things, avoided the chain of command, leaked, did a lot of bad things. And so we sent him on his way to a much different location, and the military can handle him any way they want. General Milley has him now. I congratulate General Milley. He can have him. And his brother also. So we'll find out what happened. I mean, we'll find out. But he reported very inaccurate things. You understand that, John, when you look at his report and then when you look at what actually the exact words. Fortunately, I had the words, because otherwise we would have had a lot of people lying, and we were able to do it. So fortunately, we had transcripts of those calls. I think you guys all agree with that, right? Yes. Wasn't it nice? After they said these horrible things and made up these horrible, horrible lies about what was said in the call, and then I said, here's the call. I had a transcript. If I didn't have a transcript, it would have been my word against their word. But there were other people on that call, too. Many people on that call. Mike Pompeo. And I know that when I speak to the head of state of countries, presidents, prime ministers, etc., there are always a lot of people on those calls, especially from the other countries. I imagine. I don't know that for a fact, but I know for a fact that we have a lot of people on those calls. Who would